Well, hello and welcome back to Sweden, where some of the puddles are drying up, but some of the clouds look very ominous. Thanks for joining us. We are live again. The action today is coming at you fast and furious, and in fact, very shortly, some of these supercars are going to be coming at us fast and furious because you're joining us ready for Q3, the third session of qualifying today already for the 2020 FIA World Rallycross Championship Round 1. Because one entire round will be decided today. If you've been with us already, you'll know the score. If you haven't, we can keep you up to date very shortly with a recap of what's been happening so far today. But thanks very much for being with us. We know we'd love to have you here in person in the grandstands, but for obvious reasons, we cannot. We miss you. So comment, please, and tell us where you're watching from and who you're rooting for. Is it René Munich? Is it Jani Parsonen? Christian Szabo coming along there. There's plenty going on, so during the course of today you're going to see qualifying 3 for World RX and URRX. Then later we've got the semis and the finals for World RX and URRX and Project E qualifying 2. So it's very exciting. Let's have a recap of what's happened so far today with Andrew Coley.
So then on to Q2, early races here. Andreas Backerud and Timo Timosjanov really needed a good result thanks to their problems in Q1. Of course, Timo with broken suspension. They lost out at the start, so both of them ending up second place on their respective laps. Backerud diving into the Joker on the first lap. Timosjanov trying to find his way past and couldn't do it. He jokered. The net result of that was he came out in front of Backerud. So a big push from then. Timosjanov actually managed to pass Parsonen on track later in the race. You see Backerud going with him. Good run by Timo, decent recovery. Race 2, Gronholm and Szabo, the other two Hyundais on the inside. Gronholm with a brilliant start, a little bit sideways as he came into turn 2. Szabo going into the Joker early on. René Munich going with him. Gronholm was firing in the quick laps, looking very much more like the driver and car combination it was last year. Everybody behind him squabbling. Gronholm was 6 or 7 seconds up the road and at this point had gone fastest in the session. Race 3, Anton Markland on the inside, very, very sideways off the line. We've seen a few people struggling with grid slot number 1. Does look bone dry now as we head into Q3, but you can see Markland had lost out, but he committed early to the Joker lap. He went in, Kevin Hansen out front with Sebastian Eriksson. Kevin sideways on the landing there. Sebastian jokering early to try and cover off the positions behind him, but it didn't work out. He lost out to both Markland and Timmy Hansen. Markland absolutely flying. The Bilstein dampers on that car seem to have made a big difference. This was when Kevin came out the Joker, slotting in behind his brother, and Anton Markland at that point was quickest. On to the final race. Larsen and Ekström on the inside. Kristoffersson with a brilliant start, moving across to take the whole shot. This is from Q1 actually, this race, I think, because in Q2 Kristoffersson missed out, so this is a Q1 race which we've accidentally snuck in there, I'm afraid. Kristoffersson actually got pushed out wide in Q2 by Larsen and Ekström, and that meant that he did lose out to Matthias Ekström. So this one, I'm afraid, a race from Q1. Apologies for a slight technical error on our part there. It was Ekström who won Q2, and that was enough to move him to the top of the table. There it is. Brilliant move. Ekström and Larsen in the first corner, pushing Kristoffersson out into the Joker, and Kristoffersson ended up P6, in fact, in Q2, which is why Ekström moves up to the top. So our 2016 World Rallycross champion in the TQ spot with Kristoffersson, 1 place behind the double world champion. Then Markland, Larsen, Gronholm, Scheider, Timmy Hansen, Kevin Hansen. And the top 12 slightly further down, being Szabo, Baciuska, Munich. Andreas Backerud is in P13, Timosjanov in P14. They're desperate for a place in the semi-finals. Remember, this is the last qualifying session for round 1 of the 2020 FIA World Rallycross Championship. A double-header coming to you from Hollius. 3 qualifying sessions, semi-finals and a final each day. Q3 race 1, René Munich on the inside, Andreas Backerud 13th. He has got to nail this one. Parsonen beat him at the start last time. Can he do it again? Gulan Shishirit on the outside. Backerud has got to make the semis. It would be a disastrous start to his season if he doesn't. Obviously, he's learning this car. He tested it in 18. He's had a small test before the season began, but not very much. The starts are tricky. This time Backerud gets away nicely, he's ahead of Parsonen, surely. Munich gets into the side, but Backerud's going to get the whole shot. That's what the Norwegian needed. And And the baby blues will be cheering back at home in Norway. Parston tries to find a way through as Munich goes straight to the joker. Whole shot Andreas Backerud. Dan, that's what he needs.
Yes, finally Andreas has got out in front so he can see what he can do in the GCK Megane. You know, he was quickest in free practice this morning, so it's just been a shame we haven't quite seen the pace of him through the race. He run a bit wide there.
He's learning this car, Dan. You know, I know 30 laps sounds like enough for a world champion, but it's not. Think about how long Timmy's been in the Peugeot for. Think about how long Christopherson's been in the Polo for. It's not the same.
No, not the same at all, and it's a completely different beast to what he was driving last year. There's some technology on that car which you wouldn't have come across in any other rallycross car he has driven before this year. So it is a shame he's not been able to get off the right foot, but he is quick, and it'll be interesting to see what he can do now.
So if you're new to rallycross, the Renault Megane is a bit different. ProDrive developed it. They're the guys who ran Colin McRae in the World Rally Championship. You know, Subaru, they're such a famous prep company from the UK. They developed this car. It's now run in-house by GCK and French engineers. Brilliant job by them. But the initial concept was by ProDrive. It's got inboard brakes. They did all sorts of things on this car. Basically, they took the rules and went, you know what? No one's optimized these rules. We're going to rip up the standard rule book, you know, well, the standard design book, if you like, for a rallycross car. We're doing something different. Dan, that's what they've done. We know it's a quick look at Markland, but it's a different car to drive.
Yeah, completely different. I mean, they've seen most rallycross cars be derived from a rally car. You know, I remember they turned around and said, nobody's ever built a rallycross car from scratch, so we're going to do that. And that's what they've done, but it has made the car quite unique.
It has indeed. Those inboard brakes just mean it loads up a bit differently on the brakes. There isn't so much weight in the suspension. It loads up differently at the start. So lots and lots for Backerud to learn. At the minute, 45.9s, Dan.
He's really not got the pace here. I think when you look at him through the corners, he looks to me like he's been a little bit too careful. I don't know if maybe he's not quite comfortable with the setup or something, but you can see there he's not carrying the speed that we've seen other people carry around all of these corners.
We'll have to try and find out what spec Backerud's car is compared to Markland's, because Markland, of course, is in his own team, running on his own with the backing of Bill Stein, so it could be that the dampers on that car are very different from what's on Backerud's. You'll have to forgive us, we don't have the access to the teams we have normally, thanks to COVID. We can go and see them and we can request to speak to an engineer or driver. Normally we just go in the tent and go, all right, how's it going? It's not quite the same as that. It's masks on over, request to speak to somebody. If they're busy, it's a little bit more difficult. So we'll get out there and we'll find out what the difference is between Backerud's car and Markland's for you. Before we get to semi-final time, Markland's definitely going to make it. Is Backerud, Danny? Like, for me, I don't know. This needed to be. He's only just. He's in P13. He's only just got to creep in. He's 2 points behind Munich, but he's 6 points behind Bachuska in terms of qualifying points. These are not championship points. They're the points that put you in order. So Backerud takes the flag. The time is a 3:07.7. That is more like it. Now, where would that have put him? In the previous session, it would have put him inside the top 10. 10th or 9th?
10th.
10th. It's going to be close, really close.
This all depends on what Timur Timurjanov can do.
And also, I suppose, I mean, did he beat Rennie Munich there? He did, yes. Munich is 4 places behind him there. So Backerud will be ahead of Munich based on that, we think. So Backerud wins it from Shisharit, Parsonen, Munich and Doran. Munich is a DNF. That's going to help Backerud massively. Missed that completely, I'm afraid, because we're too busy trying to figure out what's happening with Backerud. Here he is off the line, a little bit of contact. So Andreas Backerud, if Munich, well, Munich is definitely a DNF, so Munich is going to get for that one then something in the, I think he's going to get 28 points. Is it for a DNF? No, we've already finished that. It's so hard for us to figure out. 27. Which is better than a DNS, which is a 0. That's what Liam Doran got. So Liam is there's Munich pulling off. Doran with a DNS with a 0, that's even worse. But Backerud, it's not a bad time. It would have been good enough for P10 in Q2, but it's not where he wants to be. Munich's had a disaster. At the minute, he'd be right there. But is Timurjanov going to put in an incredible performance and manage to get ahead? Because Timurjanov was only a couple of points back from Backerud.
Andreas, good to get a result. How was that? How was that?
What?
How was it? I think he's being talked to on the
Sorry,
radio.
guys, I can't hear you when,
just tell us.
my spotter is talking, but yeah, I mean, it's been a tough weekend so far, and we just need to dig deep and big breaths and come back stronger later. I mean, we have had some technical failures, both myself and Liam. So yeah, but I think with this speed now shows that we have something here to do, and I can just say that big thanks to my backer Bruce and all partners involved and all the teams. So we keep on fighting, and hopefully we can get back to a better speed for maybe to the semi-final and the final, and definitely tomorrow.
Thank you.
That's not super confident Andreas Backwood there. He was fully in thought and debriefed basically with his engineer / spotters on the radio. So they've got some work to do. He will be desperately hoping, to be honest, that Timozyanov doesn't have a great run in this next one. Okay, next car's on the line and ready to go. Take a look at the grid. Q3 race 2. Sebastian Eriksson, last year's winner on the inside. He's in P9 at the moment. Baciuska is P11. Sabo P10. Timozyanov P14. New tyres for Eriksson. 2 new tyres for Timmer. Timmer's been on the outside side. I think he's been on the outside all day, but it hasn't gone his way. Wherever he might have had P3 in Q1, but final qualifying session for Timmer. He's in 14th. Is it going to be him or Bakarud? Oh, good start by Sabo, but Eriksson on the inside's got a better one. Eriksson squeezing Baciuska, 3 cars wide, they won't be able to turn in. At least 2 passengers into turn 1. Sebastian Eriksson goes to the inside, Sabo's got with him, and Timozyanov's down in P3, so that's to Backwood's advantage, but he has got one of his teammates, stablemates ahead of him. Yeah,
interesting. I thought we'd see Timozyanov going to the Joker lap there. I guess he didn't want to follow Baciuska. But yeah, he's now at the back of this train, but that does mean now Baciuska's more likely to catch him up and overlap him on the Joker lap. So yeah, it all comes down to where Timozyanov finishes compared to Andreas for the final spot in the semi.
Sabo's had a 9th and 11th, Timozyanov a 17th and a 12th. So Sabo's first session was great when it was tricky conditions, but yeah, they've really got to be right up there. Eriksson's had a 7th and a 9th. Sebastian Eriksson's brilliant, isn't he? Yeah, the winner last year, this guy gets so little seat time. You will find him in the garage, mechanicking for other drivers in Supercar and RX2, and he gets in a Supercar and Bosch just smashes it.
Yeah, he is a real awesome talent. I know we said it last year when he won here. He's someone that we want to see full-time in a car because he's got so much potential.
So Sabo's jokered early, protecting his position from Baciuska, but also releasing Timozyanov. That might actually work for both drivers. So they've covered off the swap of position with Baciuska, and they've given Timozyanov a bit of clear air. But Dan, he's got to smash these laps now. So let's see what Timozyanov is up to. He's closed down Eriksson in front of him, so this might have worked. So, but he hasn't got enough time to joker, I don't think. Timozyanov at the minute is what, 2.3 in front of he does go this time. Timozyanov into the joker lap. Watch for Sabo on the outside. Might be trying to cover off Baciuska. It's going to be close between them. Timmer going to try and shut the door. And he does. So Timmer and Sabo, good tactics by Set there and GRX to get them out in front of Baciuska.
Yeah, that's exactly what they needed to do. And Timozyanov's been setting in the lap time. He set 44.7 as his best lap on the last lap. Andreas only done a 45.0 through the whole race.
Sebastian Eriksson, I don't think he's quite as quick as these guys, and I wonder if when he jokers, if he's, wow, mind you, the gap's 2.5, you know, you can't bet against him. What are the times like?
I think Sabo's taken 4/10 out of him on that lap, so it'll be interesting to see what the gap is as they cross the line.
Here we go, Eriksson heading into the joker on this lap. He's got a gap of 2.5 seconds. That is just about enough. Into the joker sideways on the inside, Sabo over it. Eriksson going to try to squeeze it, but he's not quite there. Tiny bit of contact. Tidy driving by Sebastian Eriksson. He's right behind Sabo. Tell you what, for a close race, they haven't lost much time due to the tactics.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what they needed to do. They all needed to get a good time in and not fight with each other, so hopefully they can move up the standings a bit more.
Very, very clever tactics from Set, from GRX, from OMSE as well. These three guys, super equally paced. They haven't held each other up by jokering on separate laps. This is what qualifying's about. It's about the time. Sabo, 3:04.6. So 3:04.6 is right up there. That would have been enough. I'm looking down the times. Would have been enough for P6 in the previous session. So that's Sabo's best time so far. So Sabo's best time of the weekend. Baciuska going to climb out the car. He's got a problem, has he? Smoke coming from Baciuska's car. We think there's potentially a fire. He doesn't look too panicked. He does look a bit unimpressed, though. So Baciuska have got the firemen have turned up with the fire extinguisher just in case. Got marshals there as well now. A little bit of smoke from the bonnet. Baciuska wasn't too panicked. Be careful opening that, lads. And now they put the fire out. At the back, it's at the back. There we go. Fire out for Baciuska. Christian Sabo takes the win in Q3 Race 2 with a 3:04.6. That is a good time. Not a bad time either for Ericsson and Timozyanov. Remember, it's Timozyanov versus Bakarud for a place in the semi-finals. Baciuska, where was Baciuska? He was in P11 as well. He's down in 5th. So Bakarud right in the mix with the people he needs to be in with. Let's see.
Christian, that looked really good. How was it?
It was a really great drive, really great run. Yeah, I started third, but somehow I finished third, so I really enjoy the car. I enjoy the weekend. I was a bit unlucky until now, but yeah, this run was great.
Well done, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, this is another look back at this one. Now, we've been looking at the timesheets. Up to the first corner, 3 cars side by side, Dan. You know, Ericsson getting the whole shot, nicely done. Baciuska, Joe Green early left these 3 off to do what they wanted to do, and actually worked out really well for them. But we've been looking at the results. Baciuska's time is slow, and he's in P11. Obviously, we know he's had a problem. So that could see, if enough people beat him in this session, that could actually see Bakarud and Timozyanov go through. But it's also how many people slot in between Timur and Bakarud, because if they go between them, that separates them in the points and it will knock Bakarud out. So it really is nail-biter time for those guys.
Yeah, very, very close. And yeah, like I say, it all depends on who goes in between them in the standings. At the moment they're P3, P4, P5. It just depends if anyone slots in that gap.
Yeah, and where. Say, at the minute, Baciuska is 1.1 behind Bakarud. We know some of the quick guys are going to beat them. That's not a problem. It's where they are relative to each other. Baciuska's car, looks like the fire's out. But that is a bit... Well, see, this is the other thing, Dan. If that's a retirement, as in they can't fix it for today, they would rather fix it for tomorrow than bodge it, I suppose. Well, if they can either fix it or they can't. If they can fix it, it'll be out. If not, what have they got? They've got, what's the time now? Looking local time is 1:30 p.m. They've only got a couple of hours to get that fixed, and if it's a big job, the fire wasn't too bad. We've seen bigger fires fixed in less time. So the GCK squad should be able to get that car back out for the uncorrupted team. Not going back under its own power. It's being dragged, well, unless it's just being dragged out the ditch. But that could also, so if Baciuska retires, obviously he will then, he may appear on the qualifying list, but one of the reserve drivers would go in if he can't get to the pre-grid under his own power. God, I do love a complicated one for round 1.
This is racking the brains, isn't it?
Yeah, it
We're
is.
only just trying to get back in the swing of it.
I know, yeah. Like normally this is just a Saturday in April, and we've got until tomorrow. We can chill out tonight and figure it out, but we can't. Imagine the pressure for these guys. As we've said many times already today, 4 events in 8 days out of a potential 10. You don't know if the calendar might get shortened due to COVID, so you need points early in the season as much as possible. 2 rounds here this weekend, 2 rounds next weekend, 5 days away in Finland. And then a couple of weeks later, we're headed to Latvia. 2-3 weeks later for another doubleheader in Riga. So Baciuska going back on the end of a tow strap. And I imagine, the team would like it if he'd plug the radio in right now and give them the list of parts to drag out the back of the truck. But a fire, Dan, is pretty much, well, it's a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? You don't know what the collateral damage is from it. Drive shaft breaks, you change a drive shaft. When there's been a fire in the engine bay, it's like, have you got everything that was affected by it?
Yeah, you've got to make sure that everything has been covered. Otherwise, you could go to start it up and then something else could fail partway through the next race. So they've got to make sure they've covered their backs. And
that's if there is a next race, of course, because that's qualifying over for Baciuska, and he's in P11.
He's on the cusp.
He is on the cusp.
He's on the cusp.
The other thing here is we might end up with might even have some hero drive stuff here if we get a couple of our quick guys, previous winners, on the back of the semis. Here he is. Watch Baciuska in the background. He's in P4. So watch for fire. I'm suggesting underneath. I might be wrong. It is underneath. So towards the back. A lot of hot stuff. Yeah, he knows. Sebastian knows, Dan, doesn't he? Because that's like, I'm getting out. No thanks.
Look in the vents.
Yeah,
for the bonnet.
yeah, a lot of fire at the top.
There's actually a lot more than we thought.
Yeah, it's back of the engine bay. So turbo, exhaust, potentially. Not seen the layout on the Clio since it's been updated this year. They're straight in there. Marshall pointing out. Well, you might be able to hear in the background the incredible noise of that machine. Now, this one hasn't won a round of the World Rallycross Championship. That is, what was its name? Nicole. Johan always has a name for his cars. The World Championship winning car was Wilma, and this one is Nicole. There was a name for the previous car as well, which Sondra Evson's driving now, and I'm afraid her name escapes me, but he always names his cars. I say this one's 1 round of the WRC, 4 rounds of the WRC. Back in 2014, and here it is 6 years later. My goodness me, Volkswagen make a decent competition car, don't they? We are ready for race 3 of Q3, the final qualifying session from round 1 of the 2020 FIA World Rallycross Championship. We've got the current world champion, Timmy Hansen, up against Johan Kristoffersen, who won the previous 2 titles. Timmy's brother, Kevin, is in P3. He was 3rd in the championship last year, and Timo Scheider on the outside. Here we go. Watch those lights. It's full dry now. Is the Polo going to blow the Peugeots away? Have the Peugeots closed that gap over the last year? It's a good start from all 3 cars, and the Peugeots are alongside the Volkswagen. The Volkswagen doesn't have the start advantage it had back in 2018. Kristoffersen down in P2. Is he going to go Joker? He does. Kristoffersen into the Joker lap with Timo Scheider. Hansen out on the main lap. Now, Dan, the difference here is he leads into the Joker lap. So for me, if you're the Hansens, you cover him off early. Don't give him the chance.
Send Timmy, not Kevin. Send Timmy.
Yeah. Definitely, because Kevin's in danger. You actually want Kevin. In fact, Timmy could hold. He won't hold Johan up because he will want to win the session. But you definitely send Timmy on this lap for me, unless they're ultra confident he can do the lap times. What do you think they'll do?
See, now they have to watch the sector times because they won't get enough time once they've crossed the line to see the lap.
But and that's why it's so hard for the spotters. They've literally got 3/4 of a lap to look at 2 sector times and go, is he faster or not? 2.7.
Send Timmy. 2.5 now.
Send Timmy. Into the Joker or not, and they don't. So there you go. Right, they reckon they've got the lap time, Dan. They reckon they've got the lap time. Dan Rook's looking at the lap times now.
I mean,
for
obviously
us.
We're looking at Kristoffersen's Joker lap, so we can't quite see that.
2.5. It's come down by 0.2 of a second already. We know that the difference is 2.5. So should they have sent him on that first lap and covered him off? We're going to find out. Kristoffersen on a big push in the Polo. Interesting that the start was that much more equal, because I always felt the Polo had the better start.
Yeah, the Polo has been a really good starter, hasn't it? But Peugeot doing a lot of work, development work over the winter. I know I was talking to Kevin, and it's certainly paying off. Let's look at the gap now as they come across the line.
So the Hansens crossed the line. It was 2.5. It's now 2.2. Kristoffersen's hunting them down. You've left it too late. So Kevin goes. He's going to lose the position. Kristoffersen is hunting down the current world champion, the double world champion with 20 wins to his name, is hunting down Timmy Hansen. I'll tell you what, Timmy's a bit of a legend himself in terms of wins. He's on 9. Matthias Ekstrom's here, of course. He's on 10. So Ekstrom and Solberg equal on 10 wins each, but Kristoffersen with 20. That's how good he was. Now, we know the car was very good indeed, but here, for me, I think they should have sent Timmy earlier.
Yeah, the gap's come down to 2 seconds now, and it's probably going to come down again as they come across the start-finish line.
So it's going to be super, super close. Joker merge. I think Timmy's going to come right out behind Jones. 1.4. Done. It's done. So fastest lap of the day, Kristoffersen 43.7. We'd seen a 43.9. He really is back up and over the jump. It's not even close at the merge. Timmy's going to get out just in front of his brother Kevin. But Johan Kristoffersen has shown why he won all those races. Aside from the fact the car is very good indeed, absolutely epic performance from him in this one. Just ticked off the laps down and ticked off the tenths.
Yeah, and well, I think personally the Hansen Joker strategy then played into Kristoffersen's hands. 100%.
Yeah. It was 2.7, that gap was at the start. It might compromise your race time, but sometimes you want track position over a rival like Kristoffersen. Kristoffersen takes the checkered flag, and with it a 3:01.1. That's the fastest time of the weekend. It was a 3:01.5 for Ekstrom, so he's only gone 4/10 quicker than Ekstrom when Ekstrom is bang on the pace of Kristoffersen. So it looks like the gap between the Polo and the rest of the field, bearing in mind this is much drier, is way closer than it was before. Kristoffersen takes the win from Timmy Hansen, Kevin Hansen and Timo Scheider. There they go, top of the board for the three Swedes. Timosjanov and Bakkerud separated by Scheider. That's not good for Bakkerud, but we've got another race to go yet. Okay, another look at the start. Look at this, Kristoffersen. It's a good start in the Polo. You always used to have that thing where the nose just never moved down. It was almost seamless with the flat shifting, but Timmy got the better of him.
Yeah, Timmy absolutely nailed it, and Kevin alongside him as well was level 2. Kristoffersen, early joker, that's bang on the money. That's exactly what he needed.
Yeah, he went in first. That's the thing. And this is what we were saying earlier. If you're in a quick race, it's fine to be first in the joker or first in the standard lap. If you've had a bad race, you cannot afford to joker early because you'll be in with people who are not as quick as you.
You could have almost sent Kevin into the joker with him.
Yeah, to make the merge.
Be on his
That would have been, yes, send them both together on lap 2. So Kristoffersen merges with Kevin. Suddenly he's got traffic in front and behind, but they didn't. And Kristoffersen hunted them down. Kristoffersen coming out in front. Ominous for the other competitors, we know that, but it's closer than it's ever been to the Polo before. All to play for, one race to go in Q3.
Johan, quickest time of the weekend so far, and the strategy looked really good in there.
Yeah, I had a good start, but Timmy also had a good start, so yeah, from there on I was happy I could go to the joker on the first lap. I had very good speed. Maybe I was a bit too cautious on a few places, I don't know, but we'll see. I'm definitely curious to see what the last guys can do in the last heat.
Thank you, Tad.
I bet he is. So Kristoffersen admitting I had a good start, and that's what we need to hear. And you guys, well, I was about to say us fans, we're fans too. That's what we need to hear. If Kristoffersen had a good start there, Dan, and he was equalled, and then he also says, I'm interested to see what the guys in the last race will do. So he knows that the pace is close.
Kristoffersen did have a very clean run that time. It's whether, because obviously these guys are all on a very similar pace, there is the question of do they end up holding each other up by trying to get past on track position?
For me, you will only beat Kristoffersen if you get the whole shot or if you're first into the joker and it's mega like his was. You're not gonna take the fastest time off Kristoffersen if you're P2 on either of those laps. I'll eat my hat if I'm wrong. I don't have a hat, so that is a pretty safe bet.
Shoe, eat your shoe.
Here we go, last race of qualifying for round 1 of the 2020 FIA World Rallycross Championship. Matthias Ekstrom, the 2016 World Champion, the winner of Q2 and the man who currently sits in TQ, is on the inside. Anton Marken with a brilliant run last time out in second. Niklas Gronholm third on the grid and Robin Larsen fourth. New boots for Larsen on the outside. Can he hook it up from there? Right, here we go. Can Ekstrom take a TQ on his return to the World Rallycross Championship? It's a good start by Ekstrom on the inside. Marken alongside him, equal though. Gronholm in the door. Marken's in Gronholm's door. Gronholm with steering lock on round the outside. Opposite lock over the curbs on the inside. Not going to collect anyone, surely. Oh, into the joker lap's gone. Marken sideways, and it's a spin. It's a spin for Ekstrom. Ekstrom's up on the inside, and that's it. That's TQ gone for me. Okay, Gronholm leading from Larsen. So Gronholm leading from Larsen, and that's not ideal for Ekstrom.
No, not ideal at all, and it wasn't ideal for start for Gronholm either. Although was leading into turn 1, he went all the way through the gravel trap. He's lost himself a couple of attempts already.
Key though, he didn't cut the corner, did he, in turn 2, meaning the stewards won't step in. So we've seen before, if you cut the corner in turn 2, Larsen up the inside. Larsen sticks the nose in, can't find a gap though. Well, I found one, but it closed, so Gronholm leading. What are the lap times? And Dan, this is surely going to hurt the lap times.
Yeah, that wasn't such a good first lap for Gronholm, but it's
Larsen goes joker, proper Larsen joker lap there, sideways on the way and on the limiter. Marken knows jokered already. Is Markland the danger man here? So Markland, he's a few points behind Kristoffersen in the qualifying stages, but Markland is absolutely flying.
I can't wait to see what Markland's lap time is this lap. His first one was his joker lap, so we'll see what his standard lap time is this time around. I'm sure he's going to absolutely nail it.
Larsen and Ekstrom jokered. Markland is the leader of those who have, and he's only 2.3 off the back of Gronholm. 2 laps to go. Sorry, one lap now, is it? Yes, and another lap after this one. Gronholm on to lap 3. 2.1 the gap. He stays out though, so Gronholm staying out. He's going to try and edge that gap up. Dan, what are the times?
44.2 is Markland's best lap that time round. Matthias Ekstrom further down the order, 43.7, so they don't have the lap times that Kristoffersen was showing.
I tell you what, Ekstrom very quick though with a 43.7. He's only 2/10 off the fastest lap of the weekend, but as you say, with that bad start, 2/10 also what Markland took off Gronholm on the last lap. It's 2.3 now, it's 2.5, gone up to 2.5. Gronholm's edged him by 0.2 of a second. Niklas Gronholm fighting back now to try and get himself up onto the front row in the semi-finals. He's in P5 at the minute, a good time here, might get him a front row start and a shot at a win here at Hollius. He's super sideways over the crest. Into the joke lap now goes the Finn. Sideways on the way in, tuck it into that curb, Niklas, keep it tidy. Can he get out in front of Markland? Markland slots it through. Anton Markland into the lead in the final qualifying race. He goes defensive on the brakes. Gronholm's a bit wide. Larson and Ekstrom are right there. 4 cars within a couple of tenths of a second of each other. Pressure all the way to the flag now. Anton Markland with Niklas Gronholm right behind him. Ekstrom somehow is onto the back of this pack. Down the hill. Surely no one going to take a place now. They'll just go for the times now. Super close to the velodrome, but Anton Markland coming around. The target time 3:01.1. He's broken the car. Markland's broken the car. The jump just holds on. Markland just holds on from Gronholm. What a way to round out qualifying. That's how we do World Championships when you wait 8 months for them. Markland 3:04.4. The time for these guys is not as good. So 3:01.164, Kristoffersen wins the session. I think we'll take TQ, but a brilliant fight here. Markland, Gronholm, Larson, Ekstrom, unlucky at the start. Ekstrom's lap times were there, 43.5. He matched the fastest lap time of the weekend, but it is Kristoffersen who wins from Timmy Hansen, Kevin Hansen, Markland, Sabo, Gronholm, Larson and Ekstrom, your top 8 in Q3. Crucial what the standings are going to be. We'll have them for you soon. Okay, here we go, another look at the start. So watch for Ekstrom, because he's the one here who loses out to me. Squeeze on Markland and Gronholm, look. Gronholm's got the locker on the outside. Did he get a nudge? We'd have to see the rear shot to know, but he doesn't cut the corner. Markland into the joker, committing early. Ekstrom, Ekstrom, fair play for having a look up the inside. It was kind of on, but it cost him.
Yeah, it was a little bit greedy, I think.
Got to go, though. You've got to have a crack.
You've got to have a crack, but at the same time, you're on it for times.
Remember what we said, though. If you weren't leading out of that joker, you weren't going to take the time off Kristoffersen, but you're right. It was maybe greedy.
Yeah, I think a little bit, especially when you're in the final qualifying session, and you're right, he was TQ after Q2.
But yes, go on, Matthias, because I want to see you get stuck in anyway. So Ekstrom having a look, trying to make it work. This was Gronholm backing it into the joker, but Markland was there already, couldn't quite get the traction on the exit, and Anton Markland came out in front. Now, there's the mistake by Markland, look, and that was what Constantine had the whole pack up. We were seeing it from the front. Markland, I'm sure Markland's... Yeah, he's definitely
blown a damper.
Rear right damper maybe
just bouncing on the springs.
But Markland with broken suspension still takes the win.
Anton, an excellent drive, but you're out of the car. The back end looks a little bit broken, maybe.
Yeah, no, it was a good first lap with the joker. It was a bit tight and we lost some time in there, but in the end it was a good drive. But on lap 3, something happened on the jump. I mean, the rear end stopped working, and I think maybe it's something is broken, because I think my back is 3 centimeters shorter from the compression. But anyway, we managed to fight till the end, and yeah, pretty happy with that result, with so big problem already on lap 3. So yeah, look forward to the semifinals with a car which is in perfect condition again, and we will go for it.
Good luck, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Anton not saying what it is. The reason is, I think it's probably a damper, and obviously Bilsteiner is his main sponsor, so yeah, it went wrong, but the car's absolutely epic, so Bilsteiner done a brilliant job. It's motorsport. The one good thing is he's going to get it repaired quickly. Here we go then, these are the standings after Q3, and Johan Kristoffersen takes the top qualifier spot on his return to the World Rallycross Championship. Ekstrom behind him, Markland, Hansen. Look at that, 4 different cars in the top 4. That's what we want to see. Then Larson, Kevin Hansen, Niklas Gronholm, Timo Scheider's in. Who's made the cut? Sabo, Eriksson, Bachuska and Timozyanov are in. Baccarat is out and he's equal on points. No, it's like the World Championship last year. He's equal on points, but because Timmer had the better result in Q3, it's Timozyanov who makes it. Will Bachuska's car be ready for the semis? Because if it isn't, that's a lifeline for Baccarat. Okay, here we go. This is a look at Markin. He did say that his back's a bit shorter. Watch the car over this. So we think potentially on the landing here. So watch, he comes over the landing. Bang.
I think before then, the back of the car has been sprung up on the way up the jump. That's why it nosedived over the jump.
So the damper, basically the spring, you can see what happens when there isn't a damper. When we talk about a spring, that's kind of what's holding the car up. It's the damper is what damps the spring, and with no damper, that's what springs look like. That's why your cars have dampers as well as springs. Whoa-wee. Right, into Euro mode. Goodness me. What a way to open the World Championship. I thought, I've got lots of thoughts. We'll deal with it after. Let's get into Euro. Okay, let's have a look at the grid for race 1. This is Q2, remember, for Euros. David Nordgaard, Pontus Tiedemund, Per Eklund and Dan Oberg. Ready to race light comes on for these guys. All with their own issues. Oberg got spun round, of course. Nordgaard's had a shocker, so Nordgaard left on the line. It's Tiedemund who gets the whole shot. Tiedemund got the whole shot last time down and then immediately had a problem, which meant that he dropped back down the order. So Tiedemund ended up P14 at the end of Q1. Got to make amends for that now.
Yeah, 100%. Tiedemund, you know, he's a fantastic driver, and he's in a Polo this year compared to the Beetle, which is behind him in the hands of Per Eklund. So maybe a slightly more advanced car. Be nice
he was on the front row last year. We watched the final last night, didn't we? We don't normally watch stuff back, but as it's been 8 months, we thought we'd better have a quick look back at what happened here last year. And he was on the front row with Larson in Euro in the Beetle that Per Eklund is in. And a word for Per Eklund, 74 years old, out there having it in a 600 horsepower supercar. What an absolute legend.
Yeah, hero. I think he got the bug again, didn't he, after doing the Legends race at RX Nordic? And,
yeah, he did.
Now he's back.
Tiedemund's lap time 45.6 on his out lap, so we need another one to be able to see whether or not he's going to be.
Do you know, I think that's quick. That's
decent,
quite quick, yeah.
We'd expect it from Tiedemund. Of course, Tiedemund, don't forget, was one of the debut drivers for EKSRX when they came into the championship with Ekstrom. Ekstrom had dipped a toe in the water in previous years, just doing the occasional outing, and then signed up for the full series. Of course, he had a factory Audi back team, disappeared, came back last year to Spa, and he did pretty well, because he wasn't last year in Spa, he wasn't in the latest spec of car, and this year he's back in the latest spec. 45.1 for Tiedemund. How's that looking?
Oh, it's a bit off the back of the world, guys.
Yeah, it's a few tenths off world, but it's not far. Should see him at the front of Euro. But yeah, great to see Ekstrom back in. And say this was one of the guys that Ekstrom entrusted with the early driving at EKSRX, and I think that's a bit remarkable how good Tiedemund is. Of course, loads of rally experience as well. R5 with Skoda. He's been driving WRC cars. Yeah, he's an all-rounder. Yeah,
massive all-rounder, and we saw him get some cracking results last year, a couple of podiums, and it's great to have him back again.
Eklund 9.2 and Oberg 14.7 off. Eklund here could get a P2. I'd quite like to see that.
Maybe we'll get some donuts from Eklund.
Yeah. Here we go. Tiedemund into the Joker. Eklund's only just crossing the start line, so this is a good performance by Tiedemund. To be fair, as I say, Eklund is I think potentially 3 times Tiedemund's age. I might be wrong, and I'll be surprised if you'll find another FIA World Championship anywhere with this kind of age gap in it. Sorry, Euro. Okay, this is Euro, but still, it's an FIA event. It's a big old age gap, isn't it? What is it, Tiedemund to Eklund?
I don't know. Someone get on Wikipedia.
WRX Stats will find it for us if they're watching. There are a bunch of you that only do stats for WRX. Maybe they won't.
We'll have to give them a sack.
Yeah, they're on Twitter if you're wondering. It's a mysterious person. Nobody knows who at WRX Stats is. It's a mystery. 306. Well, a few of us know. 306.4. You got to figure it out. Answers on Twitter. Good time by Tiedemann. Try and look back and see. In fact, well, it would have been enough to win Q1, but I think, Dan, the conditions in Q1 were such that we're not going to know if that's enough or not.
Yeah, it was a drying track for these guys in Q1.
They were out after World, weren't they? And World was dry towards the end of their session.
Yeah.
But still drying, whereas now it is dry. I fancy our chances for a dry final, to be honest.
Got some blue sky showing.
No, this morning I thought we were in for on-off rain all day long, but not so far. Pontus Tiedemann takes it from Per Eklund, Dan Oberg and David Nordgaard at DNS. That's probably going to be the end of Nordgaard for this weekend. Where was he after the first session? Yeah, he's down in P13, so that's not ideal. Mandy August up to the line. I quite like the satin white. I do prefer the carbon look though, and I still think the Ibiza's a great looking car. Of course, Ekstrom is an ambassador for Cupra. And Cupra, of course, are doing some electric motorsport with ETCR, I think it is, which is the electric version of WTCR. You see, me and Dan are only into muddy motorsport. No, we're not
dirty
really.
enough for us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's not enough gravel.
We like it when they go off into the gravel trap.
That's awards for us. I noticed F1 spent a lot of time tweeting about Rallycross last weekend, didn't they? Hamilton had a crack at it, I think, in Barcelona. A few of the drivers went for a little gravel section. Hello, F1, if you're watching. We're back.
We know you're our fans.
Yeah, we're back. Creeping up to the line, that clever line of LEDs across the top of the jump start lineup boards, I suppose we can call them. Mandy August, Tamas Karai, Tobias Darbach and Ale Fucik in this one. Can hear them all clunking their gears in. You can see some of the spotters. So the spotters aren't in the spotters tower this weekend. The reason for that is they can't socially distance. So me and Dan basically have got the spotters tower pretty much to ourselves. Very nice for us. There is a bit of equipment up here with us, but other than that, we're free to roam. So the spotters basically can go wherever they want in the venue, but what most of them seem to be doing is going into the grandstand, which I'm sure has been Larson's fan club's grandstand before, which is on the outside of the last corner.
I'm not
right leading from Darbach. Go on, Dan, sorry.
Just looking at where the spotters are standing, I'm not convinced that's the best place to go.
To be honest with you, it's tricky to see much of the... Yeah, I mean, the grandstand's over where the VIP area would probably have a better view, but it's a long walk to get there and back. We'll find out where Mansfield is, Superstar Spotter, as we like to call it. We'll find out where the guys are going. Of course, the other thing they can do is they can use the feed, but bearing in mind the feed goes up and back to a satellite, or, you know, it's not necessarily going to give them what they need. Depends where they're watching. If they're watching in the pit tent, it's probably wired. But you can't watch in the pit tent if you're a spotter. You need to be trackside. So they're going to be trackside, and on your phone, it would be too far behind, wouldn't it, to be able to look at the gaps. Andy August closing up that gap at the merge. And Fucik coming out of the Joker. Right, where was Tamas Karai? Tamas Karai was 10th. We used to see Karai a bit further up than that, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we've seen him on the podium, haven't we, before?
Yeah.
But I think they're continually doing development on that Audi, aren't they? So whether maybe something they've developed maybe gone the wrong way for them, or maybe he just didn't have quite a good run in Q1.
His anti-lag's a lot quieter than it used to be, although that's not necessarily a positive thing.
No.
He really was the loudest car at the start, wasn't he? You'd be down there and you'd be like, I'm going to have to put my fingers in my ears. Darbach out the Joker in front of Fucik. So this is pretty much going standard, you know, Joker on separate laps and slotting back in as Fucik gives the marshals a dust bath on the outside. What are you seeing, Dan? Lap times?
Yeah, just having a quick look. These guys are in the 46s, so, well, roughly 3 seconds off the front runners of World RX. I think Tiedemann was in the 45s.
I do think this session's a little bit on its head, just from the issues that people had, you know, first race weekend of the year, the fact that practice went from wet to damp, and then the first session was dry. Karai coming out the Joker in the lead.
Karai just ploughed over the penalty marker there.
Did he?
Yeah.
Who's number 90?
Sebastian Eriksson has a track mark.
Eriksson's had a track marker warning. We're just looking.
Project E, there's a 30-second penalty.
Who's that for?
Between Ken and...
So they've given... So Neubauer has been given a 30-second penalty in Project E. He won't like that because he was saying, wasn't he, in his interview, look, Ken shut the door on me. But we said, didn't we, it was a tricky one. Okay, well, Karai takes this with a 3:11.0. And we're getting a warning for track markers for Tamas Karai. So after a warning, is it a penalty directly after a warning?
Yes.
Yes, it is. So Karai won't want to be doing that again. To be honest with you, I think you want to save your warnings for the semi-finals. Don't want to get DQ'd before you get there. Karai, Darbach, Fuchik and August. All slotting in, look, P2 to P5. Fair enough. But Tiedemann absolutely miles in front. Look, Tiedemann's 5 seconds up the road. So Tiedemann ended the first session in P14 after he had that problem. He crept around and got it to the finish, which is better from a point of view. But going 5 seconds quicker than these guys is definitely going to give him the advantage that he would like. And a chance to move back up the order. Dan, these guys are on a standard weekend format. That must be quite nice for them. I mean, being really honest, this has been pretty frantic for us. Obviously, it's been a huge amount of work, as I've said already, with COVID to get this championship underway. So I hope you all understand how much effort it's been. You know, we came as close as any other series has not been able to run this year. We're here, Karai taking this one, as you can see on the replays. But these guys have got a normal weekend. 2 qualifiers today, 2 qualifiers tomorrow, semis and finals. That is a lot easier to cope with than the bang, bang, bang of World RX.
Yeah, it's a bit more chilled, more time to work on the car in between sessions.
Consider stuff, isn't it? Observe. You don't even have time really to observe.
And now, actually, I mentioned working on cars. There's one man that needed a bit of work after his qualifying session.
Oh, man, Brinterson was flying, wasn't he? I reckon he was maybe on for quickest time in Q1. Had a problem right at the end of his... Well, was it? No, it was the end of the 3rd lap, wasn't it? We saw him lose a place at the start-finish line. So we wondered if it was an intermittent fault, but he was P8 anyway, but we felt that Brinterson could have been P1. This won't be an easy encounter. Brinterson's gone too far forward, has he? Got the red lights on his jump start, and he backed it off.
Yeah.
Remember to get it back in first, Thomas. Oliver Eriksson in his RX2 prize drive on the pole. Sondre Evjen, Mats Oman and Thomas Brinterson alongside. Oman had that amazing race win in Q1. Hand controls mouth clutch. They're having issues with that at Nordic, so he releases it with his teeth to get him off the line because he's paralysed from the chest down. He's a ledge. Evjen did really well last year moving up to supercar. That car's had development from Kristoffersson at the wheel this year. Eriksson, I'm pretty sure, will be in the Specker car that Sebastian won this event in last year. Sebastian Eriksson and Ollie Eriksson, no relation. Brinterson trying to come around the outside. Bit of contact. Gets pushed wide, and Oman's going to go Joker surely on that one. He does. Oman's made the best of that again, Dan. So, okay, into the Joker's maybe not going to be the best tactic against these guys, but didn't win the start, but straight into the Joker. Brinterson got pushed a little bit wide. Yeah,
Brinterson on the outside there. They made such an even start that really he had nowhere to go. Because if he backed out of it, he would have been way too far back going into the second corner. So better to sort of hang it around the outside. But these guys, I'm really interested to see how they get on. All 3 drivers, former RX2 drivers. Brinterson from several years back when it was RX Light. And Sondre Evjen from, well, I used to race against Sondre in 2017.
Eriksson looking good. Eriksson's had an up and down season for me in Nordic. A couple of performances, last time, had a fight with Kristoffersson, great fun, really good. Brinterson coming out behind Oman. So Oman's got Brinterson. Brinterson was on P3 though, wasn't he?
Yeah, and I think he had a bit of a slow joker out there. Maybe went in a bit too deep in the first corner and couldn't get the rotation on the second part of the chicane there. So, yeah, small mistake for Brinterson. It's a shame because he was so quick in Q1.
Evjen is harassing Ericsson a little bit here. He's only 5/10 back. Ericsson will be seeing him in the mirrors a lot. A lot of wheel spin for Oman or Brinderson as they came past commentary there. You can hear them high up the RPM, almost on the limiter. Both these guys going to joker on the last lap.
Brinson's being held up now, isn't he?
That's not worked out in Brinson's favour. So Oman last time was 7th. If Brinson was 8th last time. If they end up about the same place again, it's not so bad. You know, at the end of the first day, they'll be well into the semis and you've got to have a little reset overnight.
Seeing some good lap times from Ericsson and Evjen.
Yeah.
44.4 and a 44.5 from the pair of them. That's, well, half a second quicker than Tiedemann.
I think it's important to notice that these cars are very good, but they're not quite world spec. As a general rule, I'm not sure if Ollie's in the spec car Sebastian used last year or the previous version of the OMSE Fiesta.
Got a big send into the joker lap there for Ollie Ericsson,
yeah,
almost
nice.
Larson style.
Evjen tidy though on the exit, and there's not a lot in it, and that's a good demonstration of how both driving styles work.
44.1 Ollie Ericsson's lap time on the last lap.
And a 44.3 for Evjen.
They're putting in good times.
Yeah, they're pushing really hard. So Tiedemann's time is the one that's on the line at 3:06.4, and they've beaten his lap time twice there. So I think these two are going to go to the top of the table. Oh, Ericsson out into the dirt on the outside. Big old tank slapper, just holds on. In fact, it turns him in quite nicely for the last corner. And he takes the checker flag. It's a 3:03.895. That's a great time. That's 5 seconds quicker. That would have put him up in P2 or P3 in the World Championship in Q2. 3:04. In fact, 3:03.8 would have been enough for P4 in the World Championship. Ollie Ericsson has just absolutely smashed it. So that's what we were saying. That has to be the car that Sebastian Ericsson used last year, because that would have been enough for 4th. And Evjen, with a 3:04.9, would have been enough for 7th. So those two guys, two young drivers moving up from RX2, doing times that would have seen them in the top 7 in the World Championship, ahead of the likes, well, Larson Ekstrom in that last one. They did have a fair old fight, Larson and Ekstrom, but great drive. So yeah, Brinderson losing out at the start.
Looking like he actually got the best launch there. Everyone else was able to close up on the brakes and being on the inside. That's where grid positions come in there, isn't it? When you've won the start,
Yeah.
but
Well, we saw that, didn't we, for Ekstrom too?
Yeah.
No, was it Ekstrom? Who was it that was on the outside? I can't remember. But yeah, if you're in that slot, that's why the drivers always say, I want to be on pole. Even though pole isn't the nicest line into turn 1, if it's an even start, it's a done deal. But we have seen some people before not deliberately lose the start, but you can always hang back, and then when everyone gets deep in the first corner, you slot right like Oman's done and go joker, and that can work out too. But Ericsson just holding on to that. I reckon there's another couple of tenths in that, you know. That might have been a good enough time for P3, but he was only a 10th off Kevin Hansen's time. So that's a brilliant time by Ollie Ericsson. Well done. Okay, final race of the day for these guys. It's Q2 race 4 Euro RX Supercar. JB de Borg, Andrea de Borg, Peter Hedstrom and Ben Philip Gunderson. Gunderson has had rocket starts in the Audi. But it's the de Borg brothers on the inside. I like the way the de Borg brothers have gone for different coloured cars.
Thank you.
Only just, yeah. Do not adjust your televisions. So will it be JB or Andrea on the inside? Good start by both of them. Andrea de Borg has edged JB though. Can he shut the door on his brother? He can. JB has to drop back. And Ben Philip Gunderson with another good start. Can't make that work either. Surely Hedstrom going to go joker, is he? He does, and Ben Philip Gunderson goes standard lap. For me, Hedstrom could have committed to that slightly earlier if he wasn't running wide in turn 1. But
well, yeah, I mean, from where he was, if he was to try and commit a little bit more into the joker lap, he probably would have collected one of the de Borgs there on the way in. So he had to just be a little bit careful. But I wouldn't say he lost too much time. It was a good run in, really. And now he's got the clear track in front of him. And it's not like the guys in front of him are going to slow him up.
JB de Borg was runner-up last year in the European Rallycross Championship, beaten by Larson. Brinderson was 3rd and Andrea de Borg was 4th. So you'd like to think, wouldn't you, that JB de Borg, he did take a win in Latvia, 2 seconds and 2/3. Yeah, do you know what? Any other year that'd be enough to be champion, but Larson had taken 4 wins in a second and then binned the last event off and went and did the World Championship. So Hedstrom out in front of Gundersen. So yeah, these guys right at the sharp end, and they've got that brother dynamic again, Dan, which I always think is fascinating. It's great to work together, but when you're both as good as these guys are and the Hansons are, there's a bit of me that always wants to see them in separate teams.
Yeah, but I don't think it'll happen really, will it?
I don't think you'll see the Hansons in separate teams unless we get factory teams back. If you get manufacturers back and you're looking at paid drives, that'll be the time we separate them, and I can't wait for that. I know, yeah, nothing mean about it. I just want it. I love that dynamic. It's like, you know, what happens if Backwood and Doran aren't teammates anymore?
Yeah.
I know Backwood's, you know, he's been teammate to Ekstrom, Block. He's had loads of teammates, but it's always fascinating when you see and they're like, oh, try Hedstrom was closer than I thought he'd be to Andrea de Boer, JB de Boer, sorry. So JB's maybe gone there then to protect that position.
Potentially, yeah. I'm just looking at their lap times. Actually, it's still not quite as quick as Ericsson and Evgen though.
Euro RX is wide open. We said after the first session that there've been too many fast drivers with mishaps to be able to judge the pace. Now we're getting a dry track. I think I'm quite relieved with World that with a dry track it's as close as it is.
Yes, it's very fair to say that. I'm sure everybody watching at home is pleased with that as well.
Into the Joker lap goes Andrea de Boer. Is JB going to get out in front of him? Can he get out in front of Hedstrom? He can't. Hedstrom gets in contact. He's going to be on the right-hand side. Yes, Andrea. No, Andrea! Styles it out on the gas. It's nicely done, but...
Open drive shaft.
Yeah.
Must be something.
Oh, is it more significant, Dan? No, Andrea de Boer's going to have to pull off to the sides. Was that the contact or the hard gas on the spin?
I think that could have been the contact. Hard contact into the side of the wheel. Probably broken something internally.
JB de Boer going to take it. 3:03 is the target time. It's not enough. 3:05.7. So Oliver Ericsson wins Q2. Fantastic performance from him. JB coming back to the paddock. Andrea de Boer, unfortunately, although he's showing 6 seconds behind, is parked up at the far end of the circuit, up at the velodrome. Track sweepers coming out now, just holding the rallycross cars up slightly on the way back. There's the result. JB de Boer, Peter Hedstrom, Ben Philip Gundersen, Andrea de Boer. And that's a real shame for Andrea. He was P2 after Q1. His brother was in P1. He's going to drop right down the order. Oliver Ericsson and Sondre Evgen. Ericsson was in 5th. Evgen was in 6th. So I don't know. They're ahead of JB de Boer, but I don't think they're far enough ahead. I think de Boer's going to hold on to TQ at this point in the weekend. So Ben Philip, look, this is what you're saying, Dan. Brilliant start. He's there with them, but he's got absolutely nowhere to go.
No, exactly. And by that point, you're too committed to back out of it as well. You just got to kind of ride it out and hope.
It's almost better, I know it sounds daft, it's almost better to lose the start in P4 and be able to slot into the Joker first than it is to be an equal start. And if nothing happens inside you, you don't have any opportunities, but you can't control any of it.
No, exactly. I mean, yeah, like you say, it's almost sometimes better if you're on the outside to have a worse start and then just...
Yeah, just tuck in behind, because how many times do we see the lead 3 cars go deep into turn 1? And you're like, thanks for that. You go straight around the outside into the Joker. We saw Oman take a win from it earlier, so tactics. One of my favourite things about Rallycross is, well, the Joker lap's just brilliant, isn't it? The fact that you can win a race from a bad start. Amazing start, amazing finish by JB de Boer. And it does see him as the top qualifier overnight. As I say, Euro RX having 1 round here in Sweden, 2 qualifiers today, 2 tomorrow. Ericsson moves up to 2nd with a win in Q2. Sondre Evgen into 3rd. Then it's Hedstrom, Oman, Ben Philip Gundersen, Brindersen. All of those guys are quick. Andrea de Boer only down in 8th. That's not so bad considering he retired. Pontus Tiedemann, Tamas Karai, Tobias Darbuck. And at the moment, Mandy August is inside the top 12. Well, epic stuff so far here today. I say that's for Euro RX. They've got some more qualifying tomorrow. Dan, World RX is looking really open for later on today.
Yeah, really open. And, well, I'm not sure if the weather's going to play a part in it, but, yeah, it's going to be an exciting finals time.
Yeah, can't wait. I imagine Neil Cole can't wait either.
Yeah, very excited, Andrew and Dan. The clouds are moving very fast across, so every now and again you're bathed in hot sunshine, then it goes a bit chilly and you think it's going to rain. That is everything that all the teams are looking for as we head into the semis and the final later. And of course, Q2 for Project E, all of which will be in your traditional broadcast 2 hours, which starts in less than an hour, 3 o'clock Central European time. So wherever you normally get your Rallycross on terrestrial TV, look out for that. But for the live streams from today and the whole team, working hard to bring you this. I hope you've enjoyed it. Remember, keep across all social media, #WorldRX, but we'll see you on TV very soon for the crucial semi-finals and final for round 1 of the 2020 FIA World Rallycross Championship. Hey, Dor.